All right, so Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz is back at it again with his illegal union busting tactics. This time, we got an update here from More Perfect Union where it seems like they are literally just trying to do the exact same thing that the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB, just said a couple of weeks ago. And I covered this on my channel, so you guys will probably remember this story, but they literally just said a couple weeks ago that this exact same tactic of providing benefits to non-unionized stores and denying those offers to the unionizing workers is straight up illegal. So here from More Perfect Union, they say exclusive Starbucks to end COVID pay, deny union workers new benefits. The NLRB prosecutors previously charged Starbucks with illegally withholding pay and benefits from unionized workers. They say Starbucks is doubling down on the illegal maneuver. So before we get into some of the details on this specific plan, just as a reminder here of what we were talking about a couple weeks ago, they say here from again More Perfect Union that the NLRB has ruled that Starbucks illegally withheld pay and benefits from workers at hundreds of unionizing stores. It's now moving to force Starbucks to pay back 100% of the denied benefits, require Howard Schultz to record a video admitting the illegal action. I don't know if we ever got that video. I would love to see it if so, but that was just another one of the requirements that they were putting in that deal. They say they also have to order all managers and supervisors to attend a labor law and workers' rights training and issue a letter of apology to all Starbucks employees for the hardship caused. So this story that we're now talking about here, I mean, this was just from August 25th. So this is just about less than a month ago at this point, and they are already now on September 18th coming out and doing the exact same fucking thing that they were already told is completely illegal. So here's some of the details on this specific policy. They say Starbucks will announce on Monday that it is ending its long-standing COVID pay policies according to documents obtained by More Perfect Union. They say the company will then exclude workers at unionized stores from new paid leave benefits that will be implemented soon. They say the current guidance requires that workers self-isolate for 5 days if they test positive for COVID, and they say the new change is a dramatic one. Currently, the company offers 2 rounds of isolation pay per quarter to store workers that test positive for COVID-19 or are exposed to somebody who tested positive. Each round lasts 5 days, after which workers must use their paid time off. And Starbucks also provides 2 hours of paid time off to receive COVID vaccinations and boosters, as well as 4 paid hours to cover side effects from the vaccinations. And they say that now workers will continue to self-isolate for 5 days, but will not be expressly paid for doing so. They say predicated on the assertion that COVID is entering into the endemic phase, which is kind of aided and abetted by the fact that we had Joe Brandon come out just a couple days ago on 60 Minutes and basically declare that the pandemic is over, which is something I'm going to cover in a different video. But they're saying that because COVID is entering into the endemic phase, the memo teases that Starbucks will soon roll out improved PTO policies, including faster sick time accrual, and Starbucks insists that labor law prevents them from extending the same to the 230 plus stores that have voted to unionize. So this is really the key sticking point here. They're trying to say basically that because these stores have voted to unionize, they have an obligation to negotiate a contract with those union workers, and so they can't, apply any new benefits to those workers without going through that negotiation process. Now, this is complete bullshit. We know that this is bullshit because the NLRB has already ruled that these tactics are illegal, number one, and number two, because a lot of these unionized stores that have some of this representation forming have openly come out. They wrote a letter to Starbucks saying that they're waiving their right to, have to negotiate on these specific policies and that they are perfectly willing to accept them. So there is no excuse whatsoever for Starbucks in terms of like labor law preventing them from giving these unionizing stores these same benefits. This is just purely union busting tactics that is being deployed by Starbucks. We've seen this at many other corporations as well, but this is the justification that they're giving. They got a quote here saying that at stores where workers have a union representation, federal law requires good faith collective bargaining over wages, benefits, and working conditions, which prohibits Starbucks from making or announcing unilateral changes, including with respect to sick time accrual. So again, complete bullshit because these unionizing stores have overwhelmingly said that they are perfectly willing to accept these new benefits, so you could go ahead and give them to them. There's nothing legally within labor law that is preventing you from doing this. We also had, again, the NLRB weighing in here and saying the same exact that goddamn thing. But on top of that, I mean, they're saying, this is the best part of this, federal law requires good faith collective bargaining. Yes, it does require good faith collective bargaining. Can we get an update on how that good faith bargaining is going? Well, here from Vox, they say Starbucks is not playing nice with its new unions. The company has started bargaining with just 3 of the more than 200 unionized stores. So this is back from August of 25th, so maybe these numbers are slightly outdated, but you get the point here. I mean, they have literally only started bargaining with 3 out of 200. So that's what, a 1.5% rate as of August 25th in terms of them even beginning the process of good faith bargaining. And even with that, they're obviously not approaching this in a truly good faith way. So, I mean, completely fucking ridiculous. This is just one of the other union busting tactics that these types of corporations deploy in moments like this, is that they'll just stall on any contract negotiations. And in the meantime, they are simultaneously firing a lot of workers who have been participating in these union drives. They're trying to cycle people in and out, replace them with people who either are not, aware of the unions or are not in favor of the unions. And basically the same exact strategy that we've seen from companies like Amazon, where they try to keep this cycling labor pool so that people don't view this as a full-time job or a long-term career for themselves. And so they're less inclined to be in support of a union. So, I mean, again, just complete grotesque union busting tactics here. But they continue to give a little bit more context here in this article, saying, as a result, the memo suggests, and this is where we get to the complete, contradictions here of what Starbucks is trying to argue. They say the memo is suggesting that Starbucks is legally permitted to unilaterally strip unionized stores from the current COVID leave benefits, but they're banned from implementing the new benefits in those stores. Okay, so again, you're contradicting yourself. You're on the one hand saying, oh, because of labor law, we don't have the ability to, grant these increased policies or beneficial policies to these unionized workers. We can't do that. That would be illegal. But we do have the legal authority somehow to strip those same unionized workers from the benefits that they had previously enjoyed. So you can't have it both ways. You can't be stripping some of their benefits away unilaterally and then turning around and saying, well, we don't have the power to unilaterally grant them better improvements to working conditions or paid time off or whatever the policy may be. It's just a complete contradiction at face value. But they say that this marks a continuation of the company's strategy of driving a wedge between union and non-union stores, part of an effort to kill the enthusiasm for a historic organizing drive. And Starbucks has regularly provided new pay raises and benefits to non-union stores while refusing to extend the same to workers at the unionized stores. And they say in late August, the NLRB issued a complaint that accused Starbucks of breaking labor law by refusing to provide improved benefits to unionized workers. And Starbucks counters that all new benefits must be determined in collective bargaining, which the company has regularly delayed since January. So again, it's just completely ridiculous. These workers are coming out and saying, even the ones that have been forming these unions, they are coming out and saying, we want these benefits. The NLRB is coming out and saying, not only are you legally permitted to give them these benefits, but on top of that, it is illegal for you to be denying them these benefits. And still, you just have a situation where Starbucks is saying, well, fuck it. I mean, the consequences, and this is one of the big problems, they're basically just saying, the consequences for, us violating these labor laws are so insignificant that it's actually just worth it for us to continue doing these illegal union busting tactics. So just a little bit more information in terms of, the lack of actual adequate consequences for some of these companies doing union busting tactics. They say here from the Economic Policy Institute that civil monetary penalties for labor violations are woefully insufficient to protect workers. They got key takeaways here saying that workers' rights and safety violations receive significantly lower fines than financial and corporate law violations, and in many cases, these violations involve no monetary penalty at all, and even in the circumstances where there are monetary penalties, they are tiny. They are tiny penalties, something that a billion-dollar company like Starbucks or a trillion-dollar company like Amazon has absolutely no problem with paying those fines. And at the end of the day, they know that in their internal capitalist calculations that they are making, that they are going to pay less in these fines that they are getting than they would have to pay out in terms of improved wages or benefits or working conditions if their workers successfully form these unions. So, I mean, it's just a basic financial calculation for them to continue doing these illegal union busting tactics. So the takeaway from this is, obviously we need significantly broader and more intense penalties for corporations that are violating labor law. I think that you should, dramatically dramatically ramp it up to the point where in their own financial calculations, maybe if you had like millions and millions of dollars in fines for knowingly and willingly violating labor law, then their financial calculations in this would change. But in order for that to happen, you would need significant reforms to the National Labor Relations Board, even though they have been moderately more pro-worker under the Biden administration, which is one of the things that I will give him credit for. You do have a pro-worker NLRB that's in place, but even then, they're still strapped for resources. They do not have nearly the funding and the staffing that they would need in order to adequately protect workers. And then they also, again, on top of that, don't have the tools in their bag to be able to actually go and punish these corporations when they do violate labor law. So they're just able to continue doing it on repeat, and in the meantime continuing to stall on these negotiations, continuing to fire their workers that are trying to unionize, and continuing to deny them the benefits that they absolutely 100% deserve. So credit to all of these Starbucks workers who are continuing with this aggressive unionizing push. I hope that every single one of these stores ends up getting their union contract and gets everything that they are asking for. And these motherfuckers, like, the CEO Howard Schultz or Jeff Bezos or whoever it may be at these companies, they're just absolute fucking demons. I mean, these are people, especially with Starbucks, who love to pretend to be running like, a progressive companies, which is kind of like a, direct contradiction inherently, in my opinion, but, pretending to be like progressive on social issues, and they'll throw up the Black Lives Matter flag and say that they support gay rights and all of these different various culture war things. But when when the rubber hits the road and they're actually faced with having to actually provide their workers with some tiny modicum of control in their lives or control in their workplaces and having some semblance of democracy in the workplace, they are 100% opposed to it, and they always will be. So, I mean, again, you need, more adequate penalties that can be put in place for these types of situations. You need Joe Biden to be much more aggressive in using the bully pulpit and going out and standing with a lot of these stores. And hopefully they continue in their efforts to, unionize every single Starbucks location across the country.
Everyone is saying good politic guy has the best politics. Believe me, no one does it like him. Believe me, everyone is saying